Now we have identified the function module we want to use in our program and tested it successfully, let's have a look at how we can call it from our program by using ABAP. So let me step out of the function module builder. I'll go back to SE38, create a brand new program. We'll call this ZMod2. And then we can start coding. Now the first thing I want to do is set up a parameter on a selection screen so I can enter a value. So I'm going to define a parameter. Oops. Let's call it mynum. We'll make it an integer. And what we will do is make the screen look half decent. So let's do selection screen, begin of line. Let's have a comment in there. Start it at the first position for 15 characters. And we'll use a text element. Then we have our parameter, and then we'll add in the end of line. Let's see how we look. Looking good, so all we need to do now is define the text. Choose yes to create it, and we'll key in enter a value. Let's activate that. Back to our program, and then we'll activate that as well. And then a quick test just to make sure it looks okay on the screen. And it does. There's our text element, and we can enter a value in there. So back to our code. So now we can enter a value into the screen. What we want to do is pass that value to our function module. But of course we can't do that until we define the code that allows us to call the function module. So instead of just typing in the code straight to the editor, let's use the pattern tool, which is Control F6, or you can click pattern. So as you can see, the call function option is the first one in the list. So all we need to do is enter spell amount, which is our function module name, and click the continue button. And as if by magic, it'll generate this code for us to save us a whole bunch of typing. Now you'll see a lot of the code is commented out, and what I'm going to do, I'm just going to save it and show you why. I'm going to double click on the function module itself to use forward navigation to go to the function module. And if you remember, on the importing tab, all the fields were set as optional. So I'll step back. So when we use the pattern tool, any optional fields, it will automatically comment them out. Then we just need to uncomment them to say we're going to use them. So in our case, we're going to be exporting the amount from our program to the function module. And then inside the function module, it will import that amount into its own variable. So you see, when we call a function module, the actual ABAP statement itself is made up of the word call and function. And then we place the function itself inside single quotes, include all the parameters, and then we have a full stop to terminate this statement. Now note the position of this period. It appears on a line all by itself, and it's there because the system automatically commented out all these optional variables for us. So the system's not going to know what we actually want to fill in and what we don't fill in. If the system put the period up here and we uncommented some of these variables, then we would more than likely get a syntax error, because the period would terminate the statement up here at the end of the first line, and then we would have exporting a list of variables, importing, and so on. For example, if I do this, we get some errors. The system is not expecting the exporting statement. And that's all down to the placement of the period. I could bring it up to here, but I'll just leave it there for now. Oops. Now next, you'll notice the system included an if statement for us. Now the if statement is there so that we always follow best practice and check to make sure the function module was called successfully. Now you'll see that it says if sy sub rc not equals 0. And that's indicating that if it's not 0, there's a problem. And sy sub rc, that specific system variable that we have used previously, will get filled with the values from the exception. So if sy sub rc had a value of 1, we'll know the actual error message was not found. If it's 2, we know the number that we sent into the function module was too large. And if it's 3, it's some other error message that the function module didn't cater for. So always check to see if sy sub rc is equal to anything other than 0 every time you call a function module. So let's add some code. So if sy sub rc is not equal to 0, we don't want to try and output the text that the function module sends to us. So why don't we do something like this? Let's say result equals the function module returned a value of, and then we can include sy sub rc. Oops, what am I doing? I do apologize. I thought I was doing a write statement. Let's do that. Let's do write.